So last episode, we finally got over the hump. The Giants took out the San Diego Padres in a best-of-5, going the length 5-game series in the NLCS, 3-2, and now we move on to the NLCS to take on the Chicago Cubs. So I have finished my iced coffee, and let's hop straight into it. So Game 1 got started off right away as Kris Bryant flies out, Bodie singles, Happ singles, and then Aaron Judge is going to drive them both in with a 2 RBI double, so the Cubs jump out to a 2-0 lead. We move things on to the bottom half of the second inning, where Peterson's going to single, Munoz strikes out, Castaneda singles, Hacker drives a run in, makes it a 3-1 ball game because the Cubs did tack on another run earlier in the game. And then we move things on all the way to the bottom of the fourth, where Peterson gets on, and then he is going to be driven in by a Munoz home run, ties the game at 3. Move things on to the top of the 7th, where Brandon Finnegan enters the game, and he is going to start things off by striking out Vargas, the pinch hitter, but then giving up a home run to Kris Bryant, and then another home run to David Bodie. So it's a 5-3 Cubs lead. Jason Tuchman then comes in, and he also gives up a home run, 3 straight home runs. It's a 6-3 ball game. We're just moving on to the end now as the Cubs take Game 1. Final score is 7-3 over the Giants, so it's a 1-0 series lead. And now we move on to Game 2, where it's Chris Sale facing Dwayne Underwood Jr. of the Cubs. So Game 2 doesn't get started off right away as nothing's going on in the top of the first, but in the bottom of the first, Ryan Hacker is going to lead things off with a home run, gets the Giants started off 1-0. Ramos then singles, Baez strikes out, and Gallo hits a home run. It's a 3-0 lead for the Giants in the first inning. Move things on, bottom of the third, a couple walks from Ramos and Baez. Gallo then drives in a run, then another walk loads the bases. Munoz strikes out, Castaneda walks, a run comes in. Then a new pitcher, Mike Montgomery, comes in, and he would get out of the jam. So a 5-0 lead for the Giants. On to the top of the fourth now, where Odor singles. He would eventually be driven in on a 3-run home run as Horner also walked in the inning. Johnny Field, who has been insane in the series, homered. It's now a 5-3 ball game. Top of the 7th, Brandon Finnegan back in the game. 2 walks right away. So first and second, nobody out. Then a hit by a pitch. Bases are juiced now for Jason Tuchman. And Caratini at the plate lines out, then a fielder's choice, nobody scores. Johnny Field, fielder's choice, and nobody comes in to score. It's a get out of the jam for Jason Tuchman. On the top of the 8th, Daz Cameron would then double as a pinch hitter. Domingo Acevedo comes in the game, walks Bryant, walks Bodie, and then it's bases loaded. Happ and Judge both strike out, but then Rougned Odor drives into the single, ties the game at 5 as Acevedo blows the lead. Move things on to the top of the 9th. Yarlin Garcia comes on for the Giants, gives up a single to Horner, and Johnny Field hits a 2-run shot. Continues to be lights out in this series. A 7-5 lead for the Cubs would be your score as we head into the 9th inning, or the bottom of the 9th inning, where we will enter the game and try to score on the Cubs. Ryan Stanek coming out of the bullpen for the Cubs, looking for the save, and he's going to start things off against Elliot Ramos, who is going to kick things off in the inning with a single at the right center field, lands in for a base knock, so he's on first to start things off. Then it's Javi Baez, who's also going to single, this one past Bryant at third base. It's first and second, nobody out for the Giants. Next batter up is Joey Gallo, who is 3 for 4 on the day with 2 singles and a home run, and he is going to have another single on the day as he rips one into right field, lands in front of Judge. 3 straight singles, the bases are juiced with nobody out, and the Giants are down by 2. So Gilberto Fuentes comes up, full count, gets blown away on the fastball, so that's 1 down. Next batter up would be Jairo Munoz, sends a ball out to deep right field. This one's going to be caught right at the wall by Judge, makes the play and limits it to only 1 run coming in on a sac fly. So now it's runners on the corners for 2 outs, and Carmen Castaneda strikes out. So the Giants fall short as they only get 1 run in. It's a 7-6 final score as the Cubs have taken the first 2 games of this series. Johnny Field, as I said, just went off in that game. He had 2 hits on the day, both of them being home runs, 5 runs driven in out of the Cubs, 7 total on the day. And now we move on to Game 3, where it is Jay Groom going against Oscar De La Cruz. So nothing going right out of the gates here in Game 3, but we will move things on to the top half of the second, where Gilberto Fuentes homers, makes it a 1-0 lead for the Giants. Move things on to the top of the fourth now. Gallo walks. Fuentes then flies out, and Munoz hits a 2-run shot. It's a 3-0 lead for the Giants. On to the top of the sixth now. Fuentes singles. He then steals second base, and then Jairo Munoz would proceed to drive him in. Makes it a 4-0 lead for the Giants. We move on to the bottom of the seventh now, where David Bote singles, Happ walks. Now it's Judge at the dish, and he is going to be facing Jason Tutman as he enters the game. And he's going to walk Judge, so bases loaded. Odor then grounds a runner in, makes it a 4-1 game. They're finally on the board, but then Tutman would get out of the inning after that, only allowing 1 run. So it's a 4-1 game, as we will then move things on all the way to the 9th inning, where Jairo Munoz, up with bases loaded, drives in 2 runs with a single, makes it a 6-1 ball game, and that would be your final in this one. Giants take Game 3. It's now a 2-1 series. Jairo Munoz popped off in that one. He went 5 for 5 with 5 runs driven in, including a home run. So now we go on to Game 4, where it is Colby Allard facing Alex Lang of the Cubs. So Game 4 does get started right away, as Ryan Hacker leads things off with a single. Ramos then doubles, so it's second and third. A run comes in on a sac fly. The next one comes in an RBI single from Gallo, and then Castaneda would drive in 1 more. So it's a 3-0 lead for the Giants right out of the gates. Move things on to the bottom of the second, where Carantini singles, then steals second. Horner grounds out, and Johnny Field, of course, hits a 2-run shot. It's a 1-run ball game. Now we're on to the bottom of the third. Ian Happ hits a home run, a solo shot, ties the game at 3. We're now on to the bottom of the fourth, where Domingo Acevedo comes on. He would give up an RBI single to Chris Bryant, so it's a Cubs lead now 4-3. But then in the top of the fifth, Javi Baez ties it right back up with a solo shot. So then we move things on to the bottom of the 9th. After a whole bunch of nothing happening, it just remains 4-4 until the 9th, where JB Bukauskas is on, gets a lineout, a strikeout. Judge then singles, steals second, and gets driven in by Rougned Odor as the Cubs take Game 4. It's now a 3-1 series lead, as Johnny Field pops off yet again for the Cubs, and now the Giants are facing elimination, down 3-1 here in this best-of-7 series, and we will move things on to Game 5. It's now time for Game 5 of the NLCS. The Cubs have a 3-1 lead, as they took the first 2 in the series. Then the Giants took Game 3, but Game 4 went back to the Cubs. So here we are in Chicago. Justice Sheffield, the left-hander, going for the Cubs. He will be opposed by a right-hander in Marco Murillo. He's making his 3rd start of the postseason. Let's take a look at the Giants lineups 1-9 on the day, as well as the Cubs lineup 1-9 on the day. Start things off top half of the first inning. There were a lot of home runs in this game. Jairo Munoz getting things kicked off. He's been on fire this NLCS, and he starts things off in this game with a solo shot. So a 1-0 lead for the Giants. Move things on to the bottom of the first, where David Bote is going to get on the home run parade with the Cubs, and that ties the game at 1. So it's a 1-1 ball game. Move things on to the top of the third now, and hey look, Jairo Munoz back at the dish. That's number 2 on the day for him, and he continues his tear in this NLCS as the Giants now jump out in front 2-1 after that solo shot. So now we're on to the bottom of the third, and of course Johnny Field, the hot hand on the Cubs lineup, continues to rake as he ties the game right back up. It's a 2-2 ball game. Now we're on to the top of the fourth. Half inning later, Joey Gallo. He's also going to connect on a pitch. Another absolute blast as the ball is flying out of here. It's now a 3-2 ball game. 3-2 lead for the Giants, I should say. And then on the bottom of the fourth, finally, we're slowing down on the home run train here as Happ strikes out. Judge then grounds out to first base, and then Maria would complete the 1-2-3 inning by striking out Rougned Odor on the curveball. No chance on that one, so a 3-2 lead for the Giants. Heading into the top of the sixth now, Joey Gallo, some lefty-on-lefty crime as he punishes this one at the dead center field. That one's over the ivy and into the stands. A 5-2 lead for the Giants now on Joey Gallo's 2nd home run of the day. Daniel Stumpf then comes on for the Cubs in the top of the 8th. And Javi Baez, his former teammate's going to take him deep. At least I think it's his former teammate. But Javi Baez does take him deep, so it's a 6-2 ball game. Now it's 6-3 as we head on to the 9th inning where Yarlin Garcia comes on. 1 out, Aaron Judge going to hit a ball to right field. That's going to be a single here with 1 out. So next batter up, Rougned Odor. He's going to dribble one over to third base, and it somehow kicks over Joey Gallo on the odd hop. So first and second, 1 out now for Nico Horner as he draws a walk. Bases are now juiced, and the Giants are not going to mess around as they bring on Braylon Marquez with the bases loaded. So 3-2 count, as it's going to be a little dinky little single for Victor Caratini as 2 runs come in on that, make it a 6-5 game. Johnny Field then draws a walk. So now we have 2 runners on. Joshua Palacios comes on as a pinch hitter, and he's going to lay down a suicide squeeze as a pinch hitter, gets the run in. It's a tie ball game. So we now intentionally walk Chris Bryant to load the bases as they still have a chance to walk it off here. And Keenan Middleton is going to come on with the bases loaded, and he strikes out David Bodie. So we're on to extras now. After blowing the lead, Kyle Ryan then comes on for the Cubs in the top half of the 10th. And Jairo Munoz, of course, continues hitting in this NLCS. 1 out hit, base knock, he's on first base. Next batter up, Elliot Ramos. He's also going to single. This one gets down the left field line, and Munoz goes to third base on it. Slides in around the tag. So runners on the corners for Javi Baez now, and he's also going to single. That drives in a run, and the Giants are right back in the lead. So runners on the corners, 1 out, 7-6 ball game. Joey Gallo is also going to get a hit. That drives in another run. It's now an 8-6 ball game. So then the Cubs take out Kyle Ryan after that as Joey Gallo is gunned down at first base, diving back in. So runner on third, 2 outs for Ryan Stanek, who enters the game, and Gilberto Fuentes gets jammed, but the left fielder Field is not able to make the play, as that's going to be an RBI double for Fuentes, a 9-6 lead. Brandon Finnegan then comes on to the bottom of the 10th. He made it interesting as the bases were loaded, but he then would get Field to pop up to center field as the Giants do take Game 5 in an exhilarating one that goes into extra innings. They make it interesting, but they do come out on top and make it a 3-2 series now as they live to fight another day. Joey Gallo gets player of the game honors. He was 4 for 5 in the day with 2 home runs. Jairo Munoz also had 2 home runs. And then Javi Baez had a home run as well in this 9-6 win for the Giants. And now we're on to Game 6, a 3-2 series lead for the Cubs as they will be turning to Lucas Giolito for the 3rd time this postseason, and he'll be opposed by the veteran left-hander Chris Sale, toeing the slab for the San Francisco Giants. Take a look at their lineup on the day. 1-2-9, Ryan Hacker at the top of it, just like he's been for the majority of this NLCS, and then the opposing Cubs lineup as well. Start things off bottom half of the 2nd inning. Jairo Munoz, the NLCS's hit machine, continues the hit as that's a 2-out base knock. Next batter up is Carmen Castaneda. Pitch to him gets away from the catcher Caratini, and Munoz moves up to second base. He's in scoring position. Castaneda would then do the job and drives him in with a blast to right center field into the seats. A 2-run shot. And it's a 2-0 lead for the Giants here in the 2nd. Top of the 3rd, Ian Happ hits a long fly ball to dead center field. Ramos waiting for it at the wall. He reaches up and brings it back in. Robs him of a home run, keeps it at a 2-0 game. So on to the bottom of the 3rd, Chris Sale at the dish is going to bloop one into center field, and that's a base knock for Chris Sale. Then Ryan Hacker comes to the plate. Hits the ball to left field. That's going to land in for a hit. So Sale on second now, Hacker on first. Nobody out for Elliot Ramos. And the pitch to him is going to get away from the catcher, so it's 2nd and 3rd now with nobody out, as then Ramos would unfortunately pop up to the catcher Caratini, so that's 1 down, but the next batter up is Javi Baez with a 2-1 count. He's going to hit a ground ball at the shortstop. That drives in a run, makes it a 3-0 lead. That would be all that comes in, though. We then move on to the top of the 8th, where J.B. Bukauskas comes on for the Giants. Leading off the inning is Johnny Field, and he's going to continue to hit as this one gets plastered off that left field wall, and it's going to be a two-bagger for Field to lead off the inning. Next batter up would be Chris Bryant. He's going to hit a ball at the left center field. This one's going to split the outfielders, but for whatever reason, Field did not go as he waits until it actually lands. That's going to cost them a chance at a run here, so it's second and third with one out, as then Bukauskas buckles down and strikes out Bodie, and also strikes out Happ, so no runs come in despite two doubles in the inning for the Cubs, so it's a 3-0 lead onto the top of the ninth, where the Cubs finally get on the board as Bukauskas was staying on, but Odor hits a home run at the right center field, makes it a 3-1 game, so only a 2-run lead now. The Giants are not going to mess around. They bring in Brandon Finnegan, and he would proceed to get the job done as he gets the final out of the game as Nico Hoerner pops up the right center field. Ramos puts it away, and the Giants take Game 6 as the series is all evened up at 3 games apiece now, and there will be a Game 7. Chris Sale gets Player of the Game honors as he shut down the Cubs lineup. 6 innings strong, only 2 hits, 6 strikeouts on the day, of course, no runs. And now it's time for a winner-takes-all Game 7 here in the 2025 NLCS. There you have it, who won each game, and now it doesn't matter as it's just a one-game playoff essentially. Oscar De La Cruz going for the Cubs, and he'll be opposed by the left-hander Colby Allard, who has been lights out all season long for the Giants. Take a look at the Giants lineup 1-9, led off by Hacker, who's been spectacular this playoffs, and then after that you have the Cubs lineup 1-9. Start things off bottom half of the first, and Hacker, of course, gets things started off with a single. That's going to go into left center field. Thinks about 2, but he decides to hold up at first. So he's on first base. Next batter up, Elliot Ramos, then singles out to right field. Hacker then tries to go to third base, but Aaron Judge with the absolute cannon on a line. The tag from Bodie as well, as that's going to be gunned down at third base, so 1 out now, runner on first, as then Baez hits a line drive at the left field. That's going to get down for a hit as Field cannot make the play. Ramos then moves to third base, so runners on the corners, as then Baez swipes second base. They try to send Ramos home, but they do not pull off the Little League type play there, so second and third, still 1 out. Joey Gallo hits a deep ball to right center field. That's going to tag up both runners, so 1 run does come in to make it a 1-0 lead for the Giants. We'll move things on all the way to the top of the 5th inning, where the Cubs still do not have a hit. Judge strikes out. Odor pops up into foul territory, put away by Gallo, so 2 down, and then Victor Caratini gets the first hit for the Cubs of the day. A 2-out base knock right back up the middle, but then they are immediately shut down by a perfect breaking ball from Allard as he was on one. Sick with it, high-key goated on the sticks, as the kids say. We move things on now to the top of the 9th inning. Brandon Finnegan comes on looking for the save, and he gets it. As the Giants have finally done it, they are going back to the World Series. They finally conquered the Padres this year. They conquer the Cubs in the NLCS, fight their way back in both series, and now they are your National League champions as they move on to the 2025 World Series. Colby Allard was absolutely masterful on the hill. 8 innings pitched, 1 hit given up, 8 strikeouts, no walks, no runs, obviously. Only 5 hits on the day for the Giants, but they did not need any more than that as Colby Allard just shut down the Cubs. They had no chance whatsoever. And with that being said, that is going to wrap things up here for this edition of the San Francisco Giants franchise. We are the National League champions going on to the World Series, and that will be the next episode you see taking on the Boston Red Sox. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying John Hines is possibly the worst coach in the National Hockey League.